What's up guys, it's Ozzy, and before I start this video, I think it's good that I preface this by saying that I actually made this video back in September, a full 2 months ago. Because of issues, it was delayed until now, mid-November. But all of my opinions on Apple, on the products that I use, are more or less the same, and if anything has changed, then I'll insert myself like I'm doing right now. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. Some things have changed since I've actually recorded this video. But besides that, enjoy, and yeah. This video is sponsored by Declutter. What's going on, guys? It's Ozzy from OzTalksHW, and I recently made the switch over to an iPhone, and an iPad, and a Macbook Pro, kinda. I've heard so many good things about Apple, from their ecosystem to their software updates to their privacy, but I've also heard equally bad things about Apple, from their very little admin control to the little modding capabilities to the underperforming hardware that I decided I just gotta full send it and try it out myself. So over the last 14 days, I've exclusively used Apple products for my day-to-day tasks. And in the spirit of the main theme of this channel, budget technology, I bought all of these products used at a discount. The Hackintosh I bought / upgraded for about $200 back in May, but the $300 iPhone 8 and the $200 iPad 5th generation were sent by Declutter, who I'd like to thank for sponsoring this video. Declutter is basically like eBay, but with a few more guarantees with your purchase. They sell used consumer electronics, from smartphones to consoles to video games. Basically, if it was a popular consumer electronic, it's probably on the website. If you're looking for Apple products, they specifically have a section dedicated to that too. This ranges from MacBooks to iPhones and basically any other Apple device on the market. All refurbished products have a 12-month limited warranty and are in guaranteed great condition, or you get your money back. They all go through a 70-point diagnostic test, and the phones specifically have their battery health fully tested, and their phone is verified against lost and stolen databases. I've had my phone for several weeks now and still haven't had any problems with it, and it looks great. You get free shipping on all your orders, and with the code OzTalks10, you get 10% off all refurbished technology on the site. So no matter what you're ordering, you're gonna save some money. Check out Declutter now to purchase your next tech item and use my code to save some beer money. Link in the description. Now, prior to the switch, I had an Acer Aspire E15 laptop, an LG V20, and no tablet. Now, I was expecting the iPhone to perform faster than my aging V20. I mean, it was nearing 3 years old at the time I started this experiment, and my MacBook Pro to perform comparably to my Acer Aspire laptop. Now, I didn't have a tablet, so I wasn't sure what to expect from the iPad, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So, 14 days later, what was my experience like switching to Apple? And my first day with the iPhone was rough. Not only did it take hours to get my cell data working properly, thanks Sprint, but the experience was just uninspiring. It's way faster than my V20 in real life and in synthetic benchmarks, but the functionality was not much different from Android, and there was a slight learning curve. I was a bit confused what all the hype for an iPhone was about. So I asked people that I knew. Why do you like your iPhone? Like, why do you use it? What keeps you?
I love like the camera quality.
I was trying to think, what did I really like on iPhone as opposed to Android?
It's faster, the quality is better, it's lighter.
I really like how everything, like a lot of the apps are like done.
Usability. Very intuitive.
Just the features make it more convenient.
And like just the like format of things, like I feel like they're so much cleaner and like smoother.
It's sleek. It's just, it has this feel about it that it has this kind of like executive look that I like. The Samsungs are cool and all the other phones are cool. However, the iPhone just stands out.
For business type related things, like the apps that are available for my iPhone.
I hate that I'm selling my soul to Apple, but I just like it.
So at this point, it's clear to me that people enjoy iPhones for a reason. There's something premium and high quality that makes you just feel powerful about them. I hadn't experienced that yet, but I had 13 days to go, so I was hopeful. On the other hand, I did enjoy the iPhone's build. It felt premium, it looked modern, and the rose gold was eye-catching, but not too loud. Now, the body and the screen are both smaller than my V20, which I expected to dislike, but I actually enjoyed that more. The iPhone is easier to fit in my pocket, and I can reach all four corners with my thumb very easily. The only downside is that my V20 screen was noticeably better than the iPhone. Unlike the iPhone though, I enjoyed the MacBook Pro from day one. Now to be fair, I've been using it religiously, consistently since May when I got it, so I already knew my way around the operating system and had all my shortcuts set up. Fundamentally, the only difference between this Hackintosh MacBook Pro and my Acer Aspire is the operating system. Yeah, the specs differ a little bit, but for the most part, the operating system is the defining factor here. I love the Unix foundation of macOS because it simplifies a lot of my programming assignments for school. I don't need to open a virtual console in order to run C programs natively. The UI in macOS is much cleaner in my opinion, and all of my most used programs and applications are cross-platform, so I can use them just fine on macOS. Now, if I ever wanted to video game or edit a video like the one you're watching here, I would do that on my desktop. That's usually what I do anyway, so no harm, no foul there. And then there's iMessage. Now, I know that Google is in the process of making their own version of iMessage, a competitor called Chat, but as it stands, iMessage is hands down the most polished messaging system I've personally used. It's fast and scalable along all of the Apple products that I had during this experiment, including the Hackintosh MacBook Pro. I was able to get iMessage and even Facetime working on that device. Being able to send messages from any device and having those connected is a huge convenience I didn't think I wanted. WhatsApp is a close second in my opinion, but in terms of simplicity, I think iMessage is the clear winner. Now, Facetime is great too, but I never really used it during this experiment, partially because I prefer phone calls to a video face call, and partially because I don't like the way I look in a video face call, so I stuck to phone calls. So when I was recording this, I didn't actually use Facetime that much, probably once or twice, but now that I've had my phone for a little over 2 months now, I use Facetime a lot. It's pretty good. I get a full day of battery life with moderate use on the iPhone 8, and this includes navigation in the mornings, Bluetooth connection, specifically my earbuds, and then checking emails and social media maybe 10 to 20 times a day. If you're a heavy user, you'll definitely need to charge it at least once, but if you're, I guess, a normal or regular user like myself, then a full day will be enough. And it also charges pretty quickly, maybe about 50% in 45 minutes, a little bit under an hour. The camera quality is also pretty good. Keep in mind that I'm coming from an LG V20, which had a good camera for its era, but has noticeably aged since then. Before, I didn't like taking photos with my V20 because it was just noticeably worse than the camera quality from my friends and colleagues. But now that I have the 8, I feel a lot more confident in my photo taking skills and the outcome of the camera. Now the 8 does sacrifice color accuracy for a slightly warmer tone, but that does look more pleasing to the untrained eye, and I'm totally fine with that if everything else is a bump from my V20. So as I'm watching this, I'm noticing that the V20 looks comparable to the iPhone 8. They're similar when it comes to macro or landscape photography, but if I'm doing anything with the front-facing camera, or if I'm taking a picture in harsh lighting conditions, the iPhone 8 was noticeably better. Bluetooth also connects very quickly to previously connected devices. As soon as I take my earbuds out of my case and put them in my ear, it's already connected to my iPhone. Now this is a blessing and a curse because sometimes when my Bluetooth is on, I connect to previously connected devices that I don't want to connect to. And you know, sometimes I don't want the world to know that I'm bopping to Lana Del Rey. Speaking of curses, I noticed a few things I didn't like about the iPhone and iOS. Firstly, it scratches and scuffs pretty easily. I purposely didn't use a case with this phone because I wanted to test this out, and I like to think that I'm pretty cognizant of where I'm putting my phone. I'm avoiding putting it into pockets or places with keys or other sharp objects that could scratch it, but I still had some noticeable scratches and scuffs after the first 14 days. The notification center grouping is also a little bit confusing to me. Sometimes the notifications, as they come, they are not grouped properly, and it leaves the notification center looking very cluttered. I can only manipulate the ringer and the volume device settings, and unless I'm muting the phone, I have to jump through hoops to actually change the ringer volume. And lastly, probably the most annoying part of using the iPhone and iOS, specifically because it happens so frequently, is when I'm typing and I cannot select the middle of a word unless I use the magnifying glass. This is infuriating sometimes. If I select the middle of the word, the keystroke bar either goes to the front or the end of the word, and it takes an extra few seconds to go back and fix the typo. Now, I know that this is a small issue because it's just an extra few seconds of work, but when you're typing a lot, you're texting, you're sending emails, it becomes noticeably annoying. Now, also keep in mind that I'm using iOS 12, and I know 13 just came out or is on the brink of coming out, so some of these could be fixed with the new software update. By this point, I'm about a week into the experiment, but there's still one part that I haven't tested out yet, and that's the iPad. The iPad was the most odd addition in this experiment for me. It had all of the Apple ecosystem functionality of the iPhone and the Macbook Pro, but I didn't really use it outside of school, and even then, I used it more as a glorified Kindle than anything else. I tried using a cheap stylus for note-taking, but it was unbearably slow and unresponsive, so I called it quits. Now, I don't fault the iPad for that by any means, because I know that I probably should have spent a little bit more on a better stylus. With that out of the picture, the note-taking feature that I was hoping to use the iPad for, there wasn't much to it. I used it for reading textbook pages and other homework assignments, and it worked extremely well for that. I absolutely loved it for that. But spending $200 just to read textbooks and read my assignments doesn't make sense to me. The device itself was fast. Touch ID is noticeably slower on the iPad 5 than on the iPhone 8, but wasn't slow enough to where it was a real problem. But it also had the same issues that the iPhone 8 had, like the notification grouping problems, like I mentioned, or the volume changing issues that I didn't really like. At the same time, though, it also had very similar praises. Now, all three devices as a whole work very well together, and I appreciate how Apple has made the communication between all of your personal Apple devices very tight-knit, seamless, and clean. AirDrop as well, something that I didn't touch on because I really didn't use it much, also makes file sharing very seamless and easy between non-personal Apple devices nearby. It's fast and easy, and although I didn't take advantage of it, I can't deny how great of a function it is. The last Aussie insert, I promise. I just want to kind of praise AirDrop a little bit more. It really simplifies the file sharing process, especially between your personal devices. So if I had a file that was on my phone and I needed to put it on my laptop for school, AirDrop made it super simple. I didn't have to email or anything, and even though it only saves you maybe a few seconds, like half a second to a minute at most, it's convenient. So yeah, AirDrop, amazing. At the end of the 14 days, I will say that I'm happy. I really didn't expect anything less. I knew that I was technically getting an upgrade, but I'm sure some viewers thought I would be extremely swayed to one side or extremely swayed to the other, but I'm really not. The products just work fine. Personally, I think the whole ecosystem hype is overrated. Now, there are things that Apple does best, in my opinion. iMessage and Facetime are unbeatable, minus maybe WhatsApp. I think that's a strong competitor. Android doesn't have any native competitor to AirDrop yet, so they basically win in that department too. But here's the tea, guys. Most of my tools and applications are a mixture of Microsoft and Google products. I use Google Maps, I use Google Calendar, I use Google Photos, I use YouTube Music. For productivity, I use Google Tasks. For cloud or online storage, I have Microsoft OneDrive for mostly school stuff, and then I use Google Drive for all of my YouTube or business related endeavors. As soon as I got my iPhone, my iPad, and my MacBook Pro, I literally installed all of my Microsoft and Google applications onto the devices and used them exactly the same way I use them on my Android phone. The fact of the matter is I'm already invested in my current ecosystem, and the switch to Apple wasn't compelling enough for me to switch over to the Apple and the whatever ecosystem. At this point, I believe that the best parts of the whole Apple universe are their communication sectors. So FaceTime, iMessage, AirDrop. And because so many people have iPhones, at least in the States, I think it's about 40% smartphone market share is with iPhones. It makes communication that much easier because so many people are doing it as well. With that being said though, I am going to keep my Apple devices for the time being, but I'm not completely sold as a full-on Apple believer or Apple follower. That could change within a year or two because I've heard that the support for Apple devices is very long and secure. But if you were to give me a comparable Android device, say a Google Pixel whatever 2 or a Samsung Galaxy S8 or S9, I don't think anything would change. So yeah, my 14, well, I guess it's closer to about 28-day Apple experiment went very well, and I recommend it to anyone, but I don't necessarily recommend it over a comparable Android device. I feel like you're gonna see more similarities than you think. So question for you guys, do you use iPhone or do you use Android? Why do you use that one? And would you switch to the other ecosystem if the opportunity opened up? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're waiting for this video to end, go into the description and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at OzTalksHW on both. I try to post high quality, funny content, at least I think I'm funny, I don't know. And again, shout out to Declutter for making this video possible. If you guys are looking to save money on electronics, then go check out their website and use the code OzTalks10 to save 10% on any electronic on the site. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video though. If you did, leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe, all of that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.